Hello everybody and welcome to Neverwinter. My name is Alistair. Today we're going to look at the Paladin Healer for the mod 32. Now this is my main heal, and I've also got my support heal, but most of the time I'll run main heal with just the Mastercraft weapons in MSOD, as my main job is just to give the biggest overshields I can over supporting the party's damage. However, I can support the party's damage if need be, obviously sacrificing a little bit of the overshields and survivability. So looking through the build, up here I've got the outgoing healing helmet. This will hopefully, when I eventually get it, swap to the celestial helmet. Down here I've got the crit strike, crit severity for stats. Once again, that will upgrade to the celestial once I get it. As I said, these weapons will change to Mastercraft when I go into MSOD. But right now, I think the MIC, AIC weapons are still some of the best in the game for healers in general. And I'm pretty sure for tanks too, because they give a lot of damage reduction. Divinity regen, obviously, it's quite a big deal for a paladin. As you see, these are my artifacts I'm running just for stats. And the detector's set to give me the outgoing healing and forte bonus. I've got 2 rings, both from MSOD, increase my stats. I'll get 6% more outgoing healing when I am in a party. And obviously I've got these ones here. Looking at my stats, unprocced, not in a party, I have these. I will quickly run over and do some healing so we can see what the stats look like when I'm procking by myself and put myself in combat. Excellent. So we'll cast a few of these. So as you see, my power is overcapped. Obviously, I will switch this across to crit strike when I'm in a party, because I'll be getting the bonuses from the other healer running Mystic Aura, as I'm running Runic Aura right now. So I'll just get my stats fully procced. So my maximum without being in a party, as you see my stats here, 119 or 132 without being in a party. I've got up to 138 when I'm in a party. And receiving the bonus from my shirt. Now, looking at my enhancements, as you see, I've got these here. I will change that to crit strike or crit severity depending on if they've got Mystic Aura. Normally they do, and it'll be just a matter of one switch on either of these enhancements, something like crit severity or crit strike. If the party is less built up, I can get more crit strike by obviously switching this out, but I'd rather this because it will give me that bonus to outgoing healing. And then I run a Sword Coast Tactician. Oh, that's the wrong one. I don't know why that's on. There we go. I am currently running the Radiant Sanctuary, mostly just for the team support that it gives, but a bit of Divinity Regen is also really nice and goes a long way. Sometimes I might use Celestial Divine Ages. It increases my outgoing healing, so that's obviously bigger heals. Less Divinity Regen, bigger heals, which is a useful stat, but it gives a little bit more overshield the more I cast it. So it can increase the survivability. However, I still think this is better given the damage increase, obviously in combat for less time because you're killing it quicker. Incoming healing is increased. That's going to help with your overshields also. And the enemy also does less damage. So going through, we're going to look at my power setup. My power setup never changes for the Paladin on basically any content that I run. Cure Winds that I basically never use. Divine Fulmination just to proc the companion bonus. Sacred Weapon for the Divinity Regen, mostly, but also the little bit of damage reduction is quite nice, especially when I'm dropping down from the top in MSOD. It can give me that little bit of extra survivability. Divine Barrier, this is the one I always use, and obviously Circle of Divinity for 15% plus the regeneration rate. Maybe when I get the new headpiece, I might be able to switch the Circle of Divinity or Sacred Weapon out for something else, like Divine Touch, or this one here, Bond of Virtue, or you be able to switch out for something else. But right now, this is what I run. Sanctuary, very important. This is how you're going to survive the hypos. When I look over here at Shield of Faith, Shield of Faith reduces and increases the outgoing healing. It also, with this feat down here, will convert all my divine barriers into additional healing instead. So that's great for stuff like where you've got like damage over time checks, you know, and the allies need to run about, like in Master Team Web Pit's second boss at the end, or when they're doing the axe phase. Sanctuary is what you want to do. So when you're casting your shield, you cast your shield, and just before the hypo comes in, you pop this up, giving that 15% damage reduction and a bit of a heal over time. But pretty much it's just to give that burst heal and that DR. Down here, compose, fast divinity regen. And now I've got Aura of Restoration on. This will switch to Aura of Wrath when I'm in party with people to give them obviously more crit strike. It can change depending on if I've got multiple paladins party. Someone could be running defense, someone could be running crit strike. I would then get to run Aura of Restoration, which would be great. And down here to feats, I'm running critical touch. You can read through that if you want. Battle focus, increase my divinity. Sacred weapon, obviously, to give me that extra 10% reduced damage and restores my divinity. Divine convalescence, as you can read that there. And here is Emissary of Warding, obviously creating Divine Barrier, changing it into extra healing instead. Now over to the boons, nothing overly exciting. Revive Sickness, I'll tend to have this on movement speed bonus. I'll just quickly do the boon glitch. There we go. Movement speed bonus, obviously I try to get out the reds, but if I can't, I can always shield it. And here I've got it on crit strike, but obviously just pick what you need. Master boons and stuff, I don't have a full setup on this because campaigning on the paladin is just painful. You can get through all content in the game without maxing out your boons. To be fair, as a healer, you technically, I wouldn't even think you need boons to be able to get through any content in the game at all. Obviously having 4% more power is nice, so on, but with all the gear and stuff we have, you actually could feasibly run content without any of these boons, any content. Grits is on at the moment, just use whatever the team might need. I've got a load of sort of options. Still don't have Portobello, need to get that. That's going to give me more outgoing healing on the companion pieces, and slowed reaction for the bonus, and then outgoing healing, power severity, power raptor obviously, and crit severity from Wolf's Instincts. And over here, cautious devotion, give me more outgoing healing. Menders, cautious, shepherds, menders, shepherds, just to give me that my team that little bit more survivability, a little bit more movement speed to get out, especially when there's splits straight after a hypo. So that's my main healing build. As I say, I would just switch over to the Mastercraft if I was going into a regular MSOD with my friends. But if I just go over here, I've also got my main support build, which is here. So my main support build would be, stats are not going to be anywhere near as good. Crit severity doesn't actually go up unless there's a Captain Lane, a Sartellon party. With the right group, obviously my crit strike is going to cap. I'm going to gain more power. But the stats are not what I'm here for. It's here for team support. So for example, obviously the action point orbs, which is really nice for the team. However, I would personally switch to this if some other people in the party have it, because most DPS can get their dailies back within the minute of allotted time. And down here, the boots, my celestial boots that would give everybody 3.5% more defense. Not a huge amount more, but that does mean that I'm running the Divinity Regen headpiece from Master Temple of the Spider. I could swap to the Grace Ring, and I would swap to the Grace Ring if I was asked on this build. However, I don't normally get asked to go on the Grace Ring. That usually goes to the Warlock or Cleric Healer. And then the rest of it is all basically exactly the same as before. Anyway, that's my Paladin Healer build. And I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that was helpful to you guys in some way.